you. This is me. 24 years ago this month. I'm 17 years old, a senior in high school, living in Orlando, Florida. And 2 weeks after this picture was taken, my life went on a tremendous and continues to be on a tremendous journey. 2 weeks after this picture was taken, I dropped out of my private school in the middle of my senior year, moved to a city outside of Atlanta called College Park, Georgia, and enrolled in ministry school. And it was that time that I got a new nickname, and that nickname is White Mike. Now, how I got the nickname White Mike is pretty simple. I arrived at a church that had about 1,000 people, and when people would ask, have you seen Mike? And somebody said, Mike who? Nobody knew my last name. Smith was too hard, so White Mike is who I became. So this is White Mike on the day he graduated from ministry school. This is White Mike teaching in the youth ministry. This is White Mike doing an example on the stage with his pastor. This is White Mike being ordained into ministry. I think you're seeing a pattern. This is White Mike's first roommate when he got there. White Mike at work. White Mike at social gatherings. You can barely see White Mike in there. White Mike with pastors. I just returned from Atlanta to pastors conference. This picture is about 15 years old, and it's the same picture from when I was here yesterday. This is White Mike's wedding party with White Mike's dad, and White Mike has been on quite a journey the past 24 years. Now, in this time, I learned a lot of beautiful things about a lot of beautiful people. I learned a lot of ugly things about myself. And I learned a lot of dark things about the nation in which we live. But I also learned that I, being White Mike, specifically the white part, have a lot of power. White Mike has a question today, and that's this. How come when you turn on the radio in Jacksonville, or New Orleans, or Chicago, or Little Rock, the only people on the radio that talk about how great it is to kill each other are black? How come that exists? 15 stations on a dial, go up, go down. The only people on the radio bragging about getting automatic weapons, gunning each other down, are black. This right here is a song. My pastoral vocabulary won't let me read the title, but I will read this. Catch a young black male not paying attention at the red light. With your AK-47, let me see you shoot it. You're a killer, you're a killer, you're a killer, you're a killer black male. Let me see you prove it. Why does this exist? I'll take it even further because a lot of time racism exists in what we don't know and what we don't see. Where are the white killers on the radio? Where are the white AK-47 shooters? Where are the white drug dealers? Where are the white people on the radio that brag about what it's like to murder witnesses before trial? The truth is they don't exist. And the question is why? Why don't they exist? Do white people not kill people? Do white people not use AK-47s to shoot each other? I mean, we know, do white people not do drugs? Do they not deal drugs? Of course they do. But why is it that it doesn't make it to our mainstream radio? Why is it that we don't hear it hundreds of times a day in hundreds of cities across the nation, thousands of plays that say the idea that a black guy would kill another black guy is something to be celebrated, something to be romanticized? And why is it the white people don't do it? And maybe it's because there's no white audience for it. Or maybe it's because it's not really marketable. Maybe because can't get sponsors. I don't know why it is. Or maybe it's because it's just not the white man's role. Or maybe when white people get up and talk about being drug dealers and AK-47 killers, maybe it's even sicker than that. Maybe when white people do it, they're accused of acting black. The truth is, in America, black murder is normal. Black murder is normal. The idea that a black man or a black woman would be involved in a homicide, either as a perpetrator or a victim, is so common, so broadly accepted that it basically goes unnoticed. The truth of the matter is black families are affected by homicide at rates of 10 times their white counterparts. There will be more death in the form of homicide involving black people this year than any other form of violence that dominates our national conversation. More than school shootings, mall shootings, mass shootings, workplace shootings, lovers' trysts that turn violent and bloody, even more than in war and in terrorism. No one will lose their life at greater numbers than black Americans involved in violence. Now, when you talk about what's going on in one segment of society and somehow tie it to what's going on someplace else, you kind of lose people, they detach. This is our unknowing. Prejudice, discrimination, and racism are not the same. We know prejudice, it exists in human hearts and minds. Discrimination exists in hands and policies, but racism is neither in hearts and minds, nor is it really in policies. As a matter of fact, it doesn't take action to keep racism going, it takes inaction. It doesn't take hearts and minds to keep racism going. It actually have to keep things out of people's mind. Racism is like the millstone that churns along in the background. It just goes generation in and generation out and keeps turning out the same generational outcomes. Racism is like the nicotine stains left on the walls after the smoking tenants move out. They take the couch, they take the clock, they take the picture, but the evidence that they've been there still remains. Now, when I speak of black murder being normal, I'm talking about the combination of commonality and palatability. You know, black murder in our country is not only common, it's not only frequent, but it's an idea that we celebrate. It's an idea that we say is okay. We actually make heroes out of the notion, heroes out of people that trivialize and romanticize it. How common is black murder? Well, in some demographics in the United States, it's very common. According to the CDC, they release a report every year called the LCOD, leading cause of death. And every year, it's been this way year in and year out for the past decade, as far back as they list on their site, black males ages 15 to 34, the number one cause of death is homicide. The number one cause of death. For white males, it's number 3. And when you hear that, you instantly go, well, yeah, I mean, that would seem right. I mean, I hear of black-on-black crime, or I hear about urban crime. So I guess, yeah, number 1 to number 3, I mean, it's a problem, but it's really not that bad. But the devil is always in the details. The truth of the matter is that if I were to take everybody that dies in this year, every black male 15 to 34, and I brought them into a room December 31st, said, all of you have made it to the afterlife. And I want to take a quick survey. How many of you got here by cancer? A few voices would say, me. How many of you got here by auto accidents? Me. How many of you died of a heart attack on an athletic field? Me. And I said, how many of you were gunned down by another human being? And half the room would raise their hands. Now, every time I show this information, people always say, well, if it's the number 3 cause of death for white males, what is the number 1 cause of death? And without fail, year after year, it's called unintentional injuries, accidents, falling off a four-wheeler, crashing a go-kart, or bungee jumping without paying attention to, knots and things like that. And so basically, the American story is white kids are dying because they're clumsy, and black kids are dying because they're gunned down. Chicago, just like New Orleans, just like Jacksonville, just like Little Rock. How common is black murder? The past 3 years, there's been about 1,270 victims of homicide, 2012, all the way up to this week in 2014. And of those victims, 64 were white. Now, this transcends the simple diagnosis that we have. Well, it's education, it's poverty, it's family structure. As you study it locally, nationally, as you study it decade after decade, it doesn't follow any of those easy answers. Something much deeper and much darker is at work. How common is black murder? Well, in my entire life, 1973 to 2014, there has never been a year since I've been breathing that blacks have not been overrepresented in homicide. Never been a year that you can go into a morgue and you don't see blacks overrepresented. It's the story of America. It's certainly the story of America in my lifetime. My question is, what will be the first year that we see it a 1-to-1 ratio? I mean, if it's somewhere between 7-to-1 and 10-to-1 now, I mean, when will it be 1-to-1? We would consider it a huge national victory if we ever got it to 5-to-1, to 4-to-1, to 3-to-1. Violent crime has gone down over the past 40 years. People say, isn't that great? No, because prison has gone up over the past 40 years. And no matter the fact that violent crime has gone down or prison has gone up, what's never closed is the gap. There's always that gap, 6-to-1, 7-to-1, 8-to-1. Usually it's the smartest person in the room at this point that yells out from the back, so are you saying you want more white people killed? And then all of a sudden I realize that's why we die in clumsy accidents. All right, here we go. Now, the real question is, why is this going on? Why is this the story of my life? Why is this the story of my country? And everyone in this room falls into one of 2 categories. You're in one of 2 categories. Either there's something wrong with them, some core deficiency in black people, they're just prone to violence, so we use anecdotal evidence to talk about that, or there's something wrong with us. And depending on what category you fall in, if there's something wrong with them, you point fingers. Hey, we need to do something. If you say there's something wrong with us, then you roll up your sleeves and you get busy. Well, the truth is there is something wrong with us. And that's years ago we set off a bomb. And that bomb affected our cultural soil. It affected our definitions. It affected our expectations. It affected who we are, how we describe ourselves, and how we describe other people. What we believe down to the core of our being. It's in our air. It's in our cultural water. And it's passed down from generation to generation. Now, again, it would take me a few TED Talks to really get into this. But the bomb is about lies. It's about deep lies. One of the lies is that blackness is somehow associated with criminality, sexual deviance, and violence. That when you come across blackness, that inherent in being black, there's some sort of deviance, violence, and criminality associated. And that's a derivative of a greater lie, which is that somehow black life is inferior to white life, that the value of it is less. That if you were weighed in the scale, the black life just weighs a little less. That if you were trying to cash it in on the street, you'd get a little less money for it. And these are essential to, these are the lies that help build our nation, help build the Western world. And here's what's interesting about this, is these lies are not only lies we've told about black people, but we've told to them. I was in an unsolved homicides meeting here in Jacksonville last year, 1,100 unsolved homicides. I was there with the families. They were having a conversation with our sheriff's department, and on the walls were all the pictures of the victims, and you already know the vast majority of the pictures were of black residents of Jacksonville. There were white families there, certainly, and I'm not trying to say that it doesn't happen among the white community. Of course it does. But I'll never forget, a mom interrupted the detective. She said, "Excuse me, I have a question." He said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "I know you don't know who killed my daughter, but I have a more important question." He said, "What is that?" She said, "When you picked my daughter's body up off the side of the road," she said, "How did you do it?" He said, "What do you mean, how did I do it?" She said, "Well, did you pick her up, and did you set her on the gurney, and did you zip her up in the bag, and did you slide her in the back of the van, and did you shut the doors gently?" She said, "Or did you just pick her up, slam her down, zip her up, and put it in?" She says, "I want to know how you treated my daughter's body when you picked it up off the ground." She said, "Did you treat it like you would treat a white man's daughter?" That's a very interesting question. As though a mother doesn't have enough to deal with, she also has to wonder that when the people working the crime did it, did they work it as somebody's personal, precious life was solved, or is it just another dead black kid on the street? Another mother popped up. She said, "Yeah, I know you don't have the answer to who killed my son." He says, "Ma'am, you know I would call you if I had it. I want to call you." She said, "I know I don't need a phone call." She said, "But I do need to know that you pay attention to it. And I do need to know that my son's death matters." And here's why. Because she sees the files on her desk and on his desk in her mind. And she sees the stacks in her mind of dead black kids. And she sees the stacks of little white kids. And she just wants to make sure that in the common thing that happens all the time, that her son's life is just as precious as everyone else's. Black murder is normal. I mean, when I talk about it, none of you are really shocked. The most you can say is, "Well, I didn't know it was that bad," which brings up the real question about palatability. Are we comfortable with it being like this? Are we comfortable? I'm 41 years old. Are we comfortable with living in a nation where this goes on? Well, if we're not comfortable, if we're not okay, are we appalled and outraged? And when I say we, I mean we. Are we appalled and outraged? That's the question. There are certainly people all over the country doing something about it, but when I discovered that them doing something about it is totally different than we doing something about it. Now, a lot of things that you have to understand is this about racism. And when I talk about prejudice, discrimination, and racism, the answer lies right here. It wouldn't seem like the answer is here, but if you want to know how comfortable we are with black murder, you just got to look at the marketplace. When you see this photo 1 week after Dr. King won the Montgomery bus court case, and they decided to eliminate the racist policies or the discriminatory policies. This is his picture. It was a great victory. And you know about the prejudice, you know about the discrimination, but right here on the front of the bus is the racism. Because racism exists in the unchecked and the unchallenged normal. My question is, 60 years later, what in the world is a Pepsi ad doing on the front of a bus company that makes black people sit in the back? What in the world is it doing there? I mean, did the Pepsi CEO look back on that today and go, "Yeah, that was a fail. Shouldn't have done that"? Are they ashamed? Are they ashamed that they would? Well, let me ask you this. Could they do it today? If I started a bus company in Jacksonville and said, "I got this great thing, beautiful buses, I want Pepsi's name on it." They said, "Let's do the deal." I said, "But the deal is gays, blacks, and Jews sit at the back." They couldn't put their name on that. Why? Because as American attitudes change, as American definitions change, as American norms change, guess who else has to change? The marketplace. There's certain things they could get away with when that type of thing was normal that they can't get away with now. The same thing not only goes with policy, it goes with entertainment. My favorite cartoon, one of them all time, is Tom and Jerry. This is Mammy Two Shoes. Mammy Two Shoes, you never saw her except for a couple of times above the knees. She was always the one yelling at Thomas the cat for what he was doing. She was voiced by Lillian Randolph, a great radio actress. But here's the interesting thing. White entertainers create white entertainment, and they carve out a black role, and the black role that they saw fit was to play this stereotypical black woman. That lasted up until in the early 50s, then huge protests broke out, and they said, "You know what? We don't want to be portrayed like that anymore." And to this day, if you want to watch Tom and Jerry, you go home, you want to watch it on Netflix, you want to watch it on Amazon, this comes up on the screen. It says, "What you're about to watch contains some racial stereotypes. They were wrong then, and they're wrong now. They were commonplace. We don't want to edit her out because that will make it like it never happened. We're going to put her in, but know that we know there's something wrong with this." Now, we don't have Mammy Two Shoes today. You can't get away with it. Nobody would put it out there. But we do have black people that get on the radio every day in white-owned companies, white-owned stations with white-owned sponsors that play the role of hypersexualized, hypercriminalized male. I asked these advertisers, I say, "I've got hundreds of songs a day that celebrate killing animals. Will you put them on your station?" They said, "No." "I got hundreds of songs a day that talk about assaulting women and abusing kids. Would you put them on your station?" They said, "No." I said, "I got hundreds of songs a day that talk about murdering blacks. Would you put them on your stations?" And they said, "Well, that depends." Depends on what? Who it's done by and who it's branded for. Because if we can get black folks to sing about it and we can brand it for our youngest black audiences, I think there's money to be made. I think there's American appetites to see these people that way. I said, how can you say that? They said, well, look, it's what these artists know. It's what they, black people, create. It's, matter of fact, our surveys say it's what they want to hear, which speaks of a sickness. How do we live in a society where somebody says, you know what, I'm inspired to write a song that celebrates murdering another person. And then a person says, I'd like to put that on my station. Another person said, I'd like to pay for it. And then there's people out here in the audience that go, I'd love to hear it, as long as it's black guys. Because even white people buy rap music, buy this type of stuff, because we know that when we want to hear about killing each other, we know who to turn to for that type of inspiration. We call it our music. We say we own it. White people buy more rap than black people. Yeah, but we're very careful to turn it down at the stoplight when other black people are there. Why? Because we know we're just pretending. For them, it's more authentic and real. I always ask the companies, what about your name? What about your brand? What about your value? And the largest radio company in the world said this: it's okay that we only have drug dealers on our black youth stations. We only have murders on our black youth stations. We support black charities. We give out water at the Martin Luther King parade. I think we've got it covered. We've bought them off. Now, people get upset, the smartest guys in the room again. You're talking about censorship. I don't believe that. I believe in free art. Make whatever you want. I believe you should make music about anti-Semitism. I believe you should make music about killing dogs. I believe in this country you should make music about bashing homosexuals and driving them behind trucks. I believe you should make music about stringing people up on trees. I believe you should make music about killing whitey. I believe you should make all that music. But I also believe that in the mainstream marketplace, people should hesitate associating their name with certain content. You know, there's certain stuff you can't buy at the store. Certain stuff you can't get on iTunes because their brand doesn't want it. But if you want to hear black people celebrating killing black people, they got thousands and thousands and thousands of those things to sell you. I don't think it's about censorship. I think it's about American cultural hypocrisy. Because here's the truth. These black entertainers, they can't sing just about anything. There's some stuff that'll get them fired, and they get dropped, and they get fired, and they get slapped on the wrist, and they get disciplined all the time. Why? Because sometimes they step over the bounds. A very famous case is what happened with Rick Ross. Rick Ross is the Mammy Two Shoes, one of the many Mammy Two Shoes of our day. He's a black entertainer in a world carved out for him, and a role carved out for him by white entertainment companies. And one day he talked about, in the middle of a song that celebrated dealing drugs and killing blacks, he made a reference to date rape. And when he made that reference to date rape, that set social media on fire. That got 100,000 petitions in 24 hours. Hey, buddy, date rape is no joke. That had white people standing outside of Reebok in New York saying, you better take this seriously. We're tired of a rape culture in America. One line in one song moved the masses. And you know what Reebok did? Did they stand by him and say, hey, we believe in freedom of speech. We believe in freedom of expression. It's just a song. Calm down. No, they fired his tail on the spot. The president came out and said, this goes against our high standards. He's gone against the values of our brand. Shame on Rick Ross. We're disappointed. He doesn't know how serious date rape is. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, how convenient. Isn't that amazing? But here's what really happened. It's not their brand, it's not their values. Rick Ross went off script. He was hired to get black customers, and they think that black customers go with black bait. And in America, black bait is the hyper-criminalized, hyper-sexualized portrayal of black people. And as long as he had sung about that, the stuff that got him hired, he still have a job at Reebok. But when he touched other sensitivities that affect us, he lost his job. See, the truth is, it's not they that need to change. It's we that need to change. We created the lies. We created them for our profit. We own the companies. We own the record labels. We own the advertisers, and we keep putting it out. And it's this that's got to change. I thought about it. You know what? I wonder if White Mike could get anybody's attention on this. So I stood outside of a Walmart, and I said, hey, I don't think killing cops and killing blacks is very cool. And you know what? It only took 7 weeks of Mike standing out there, and they wrote a letter and said, yeah, we don't think it's cool either. We're going to pull our name off of that. The largest retailer in the world had never considered that maybe their commercial shouldn't be right before or after a song about young black men being gunned down. And I realized this, that black murder is normal, but it should not be. And I realized the importance at the coffee table, at every headline, every pastor's gathering, every family gathering to say, you know what, these black lives matter. It's not just another black kid. These are human beings. I'm doing my best in every way, shape, and form. Talks like this everywhere I can go to say, you know what, I was born in a world where black murder was normal. My kids were born into a world where black murder is normal, but I don't want to die in a world where black murder is normal. Am I 5 years or 10 years away? I don't know, but I'm screaming as high as I can. Let's feel this pain, and let's lift our voice to tell the lies. They are not criminals, they are not deviants, and their lives are just as important as ours. Thank you very much.
window again.
What's going on, everybody out there? This is the Signal 27 show. For all y'all that don't know, today's show will be the first official show that's going to be uploaded and broadcasted on Pandora.
Ow.
So just to let you all know,
Ow.
you can see us on Facebook, Instagram. You can see us on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope Live every Sunday at 6:30. But you can also go back and listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now Pandora.
Man.
So hey, we're doing it up, man. Hey, so y'all, we need all of your support. Continue to support us. These are comics, and we all trying to get our thing popping. We appreciate you all for tuning in and listening in. Now, for all of you all that support us, y'all came in pretty early to check out Mike Smith talk about the issues that plague the black community when it comes to advertising, labels, and broadcasting. Y'all saw what he was saying, that a lot of times, hey, he was right. But a lot of times, I think a lot of black folks in the conscious community have been saying it for some years, but it's like when you get a white person to say it, listen, hey, he's saying
It becomes so relevant now.
it's hey. Well, so what do you think? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think he hit some points. What about y'all, Keita?
He definitely did. He hits a lot of points again, but things that we've been saying for a long time now. But again, what makes it so relevant now that a person of another color is saying it? I mean, okay, yeah, he said some powerful stuff, but these things have been said for years.
Well, yeah, I can say what makes it relevant. What makes it relevant is it gets to be, it's a distraction because there's so many people on to the next, on to something new, so they need to pull you back to something else. It's but it's still good to see people at that level, you know, and so you start to learn to live in a position of love, and you just love people wherever they at. Same thing, spiritual, religion, or whatever. But there are us that are on this spiritual thing that are so far advanced that, you know, we're looking at what this guy is talking about. Like, yo, there's a bigger picture. There's an altar. There's ancestral money. There's energy that you can connect with beyond what he is saying.
Right,
so,
but along with the spiritual, he did make some good natural points that a lot of us have to actually take into consideration. We was just not too long talking about how you control the masses with imagery that you put in front of them. Now, that's a form of spirituality. People don't understand that. Like, if you keep seeing the same image over and over and over and over again, you're destined to start to think what you see.
Right. Well, also, Leroy, too, and we need to be careful of, because I saw a post made on Facebook with Kanye West with the Confederate flag. And, I back off from jumping in stuff now, because I'm learning to control my energy. I don't just get pulled in. But the swatch sticker, if you did a Google search of the comedic meaning of the swatch sticker, and you saw what that meant, it would blow you away. Because we've been conditioned to think something means something that it doesn't. So when they show it, it invokes an emotion in us.
Right.
And so now they just playing on our emotions, drawing us back in again. So, I implore people to research before the Greeks came and gave us civilization. Go back, go back as far as you can go.
Well, let's clarify that.
Glad Dave said that.
Let's go
etymology.
Back.
He's getting it now.
Let's go back to when we was civilizing the Greeks and all of them, because we had civilization before then. But they kind of perfected things. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like we kind of just became stagnant. A lot of the things that they got, or a lot of the things that have allowed America to become America, was often, we already know, off of the backs of African Americans. Yeah. But you have to realize a lot of the inventions and stuff that was made by Africans, which was taken because we couldn't own anything. You know what I mean? So
you're saying like open heart surgery, refrigerators, ice cream, cotton gins, the light bulb, gas masks.
Don't forget about the 600 plus inventions Homeboy made with peanuts.
Dr. George Washington Carver.
Right. So
what about the cortisone shot? That was made by a black man too.
Right. So I mean, you got to think about it. We have a lot of we've contributed a lot to this country, and yet we don't have the financial showings of it. And now we get used by the media. Like they say we are the richest as far as a people go, but we have no control over anything. And that's what it is. It's control. You want to be able to control your media. That's what Byron Allen is trying to do, is control the media and the imagery that you see about us. But when you can see what happened between the 90s up until now, when we was growing up, we had, and I've mentioned it before, we had Teen Talk. We had stuff like that on BET that helped uplift teenagers to become better people. Then when BET was bought out, you started seeing more of the ratchetness that came through. And then it got worse. At first it started off with BET Late at Night. And then after BET Late at Night, you start seeing a lot of the ratchet stuff on these platforms that they have. And then if you even talk about rap and conscious, they wouldn't even put your stuff out there. Just like he said, like Rick Ross had done a thing with, he said something about rape in one of his songs. And
Appeal.
Right, and it got him kicked off of whatever thing that he was doing. So basically what he's saying is that Rick Ross went off code. You know what I mean? So if you go off code in their organization, they can kick you out because that's not what they want to push out about you. How are we allowing another race to depict what we see about ourselves in front of hundreds, millions of people?
But Leroy, you brought up a whole lot. That's a lot to unpack. What about that? I guess was it Life Jennings with that whole, when he was talking about sex, but he made that song talking about beat it up like Emmett Till.
No, beat it up like a slave.
Well, it was like a slave.
Yeah, beat it like a slave.
Somebody else put Emmett Till in their song, and they wound up even had to pull
Lil
it.
Wayne.
They had to pull it or
Lil
something.
Wayne.
But see, what my thing is,
But why pull it?
No, not why pull it. Why make it?
Yeah. Why
Because
make it?
people
Why
don't realize how bad Emmett Till's situation.
I'm saying, but
They're not fully versed on it. We
Right,
are,
right.
but there's a lot that do not know how and why he died. They know he died. They know it's like,
But
well, it was a race issue, but they don't
Was
know the
his
depths
lyrics
of it.
bringing consciousness to?
In his way, yeah. Although it was ignorant. I think it was ignorant
Controversial.
to say it the way he did.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to remember, his group of people,
It's
they
sad.
won't understand the message the way we would receive it and get it.
Right.
He had to say it on his levels for the people that follow him.
Right. Now,
And it could have been the beginning.
Think
of
about what
something.
Tupac said.
yeah, I don't know where
think-
Ed
I
was
think
going
it's
on.
sad.
I
It's sad.
I can't unpack it that way.
Think
'cause I
about
don't-
Tupac. He said that he can't preach to you unless he's part of you. That's why he started hanging with the gangs and tried to, okay, now that I'm in, now I'm going to give it to you because you understand it from me. Wayne has his followers like that. So when he said Emmett Till in that verse, the people that listen to him the way he speaks, they get it.
Some
We
of them go
won't ever
research
understand
it,
it.
though.
Yeah.
Some of them go
Exactly.
research
That's what I was
Yeah.
going to
Okay.
say. Even me, when I hear things or I hear a term that I've never heard before, I'm a nerd. I memorize it or I write it or type it in my phone and I go back and I research things. That's how I learn things. So for the audience that listens to his music, maybe they don't know what happened, but it causes them to go and type that name
Exactly.
in Google or something
Right.
and begin to know what's going on because a lot of these young people don't know anything. I'm 40 and I'm just learning stuff because of y'all. Like I'm just learning stuff that I've never heard in my life.
But
You
it's
know what I
similar
mean?
to this show.
Yeah. Well, Leroy,
Right.
to go
No.
back to what your topic and you said imagery that they put before us, the image that we see, and that's why with that particular speaker that's presenting what he's presenting, that's good. But like Keita said, these people, we've been saying that these people this and this, but you know we're happy now that this guy is saying it, so people are more people are listening to it. But then it's important who we receiving this stuff from, that what they look like as well, because that plays on our psyche. Because then people like Neely Fuller Jr., who've been doing it for 60 plus years, he doesn't get mentioned. Dr. Frances Cress Westland, she doesn't get mentioned. All our scholars, even the ones that have degrees in teaching their university, all their work gets overlooked, and it goes to, just like they were trying to make, like they were saying years now, you're going to look up and Eminem is going to pop up for the best who started rap. You see what I'm saying? So I mean,
I think we as a people are kind of, we were coming out of the shell, slowly but surely coming out of the shell. We're more engaged with what's going on with ourselves, more in tune to what's going on with our health. Just the fact that we had the movement of the sisters wearing their natural hair and more people getting away from that, the hair
Burn
crack.
and all
You know
that.
what I'm saying? All of that stuff shows volumes that it's slowly coming out, but we need to have something where it's imagery where it can continue to go. You know what I mean? Because once it's stopped and then the next fad comes along, once that fad hits, it can kind of erase everything that has started. Look at it. Back in the 70s, we had Black Power and everybody wearing black leather and sisters wearing their natural hair and afros and stuff. And then what was the culture change? Nobody understand what the culture change that started people from stop wearing that. It was because you couldn't get a job wearing your natural hair.
And also, the men started chasing them women, the white women, I think. And then the sister was like, I want my man. So they started slicking their hair too. It's all about the hunt of the
That's
woman.
where them extensions come in at.
Yeah, because see, if our goddesses go back natural, which we already love them natural, we love them any way we can get them. It burns a sister up. Well, most sisters. I was in the cafe and a big tall brother that looked like he might be in the NFL came in with one of our extra light skinned brothers and sisters, and I was sitting at this table with this goddess, very melanated goddess, and she was just whispering and was mad. Every time they get them all, they always get them, and she was so mad. I wasn't upset because people gonna love who they gonna love.
Right.
It ain't nothing you can do about that. And we are all beings. It's just the type of energy that being has. Now, in reality, we do have to pay attention to color because in this system, things have been set up where we have to pay attention to color. So we just have to find a balance.
I think it's.
But can we get rid of that color?
No.
No?
The system is.
Okay, then. So if we can't get rid of, okay, we accept that, and how do we move on?
Right.
Well, we always talk about the problems. We never talk about how to fix the problems. You know what I mean? There needs to be a reverse.
Interracial relations will wipe out a race and create one single race. We all just need to get along and hug.
No. Okay, well, you can't get along. That's another one. That's another way to.
I'm talking about.
I'm not looking into genocide.
I'm talking about loving yourself first. I'm talking about putting yourself on a pedestal. I'm talking about owning your grocery stores, your gas station, your school, growing your food, creating your clothes, and not thinking it's a problem. And still be able to function with others, but you don't necessarily have to go to them. Because when I look at the Asians, I look at all these other people that don't get in an uproar about voting and all this stuff, but their group economics is supreme.
You want us to build a nation. That's pretty much how to fix it.
He wants
you can't
separate tribe.
Yeah, I'm not saying I want that. I'm saying that's the answer.
Tribalism is what you're asking for, which is basically going back to separate but equal. We are all blacks. We have a black community. We have everything you got to. That is separate but equal.
Yeah, but a lot of things that one group of people is not going to have. That's the whole purpose of trade. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't be trading with China because China can create the best products. We trade with them because we don't want to make the products they making.
Right.
The people don't want to work in shops. You know what I'm saying?
I can't buy into that don't want to work. What I can buy into, because this is affecting me directly, is that the greed of the corporate owners and the 1%ers, they will automate you to death. So you, the employee, are out of a job. That product is still going to be built by the few people with money.
Right.
They're going to try to find a way to make that product as cheap as possible.
Alibaba.
Ain't nothing cheaper than free labor.
Alibaba.
That was slavery to create this country.
It's jail now.
The next level to that will be migrant workers. You can pay them $1 a day. No benefits, and if they get arrested by the police, so be it. Well, that's not working so much anymore because of NAFTA and some other stuff. Now, you go over to Asia, untapped sources. Those countries over there are dirt poor compared to America. Those people are thirsty. They're willing to sell themselves for damn near free. There's mines in Africa where they're getting mica for our electronics, cell phones, every cell phone company. There's kids 3 and 4 years old digging holes in the dirt looking for mica. They're taking buckets and just putting it in there. Same as the coal miners in West Virginia with the black lung. These kids are babies, and they'll grow up with this mica in their lungs, and they'll be dying off. Guess who made money off of that? The rich businessman who's selling us these $1,000 phones.
And they get their organs.
Yeah, they'll harvest the organs, too, if they're not poisoned with the mica through their blood.
Well, they get our organs, aren't they?
As Dave says, Africa has all the resources, and everybody goes there.
With no contamination.
And they are stripping our resources and paying us pennies for it.
Yep.
So what we need to do, as Dave would say, you form your community, your tribe. You do your business within yourself. You go Wakanda on them. We got all this. You don't even know we got it.
And I didn't say that. Don't say my name when you said that because He asked for a solution, and I would just give him what
I always stated that Africa is being robbed by the other man for their natural resources.
I know, but
there we go.
But you saying I said form? You saying I said form your own tribe and all that?
I just said that a few minutes ago.
Listen, brother. I don't think we should do as much talking. We should just do action.
Do it. Yeah.
If you were to look at me and what I do, the majority of what I do is already group economics. I'm doing it. We spend a lot of time talking instead of just doing. If we do, we ain't even got to say a word. We just got to do. They had the Negro League, and they broke that up. That money was circulating, and our people had money. You should be able to do it, and it should be natural. It shouldn't be something that you got to be talked and coerced into. It should seem natural. Racism is a team sport. They use the word wrong. Racism is a team sport to own and control stuff and dominate. It's not the way they taught us to look at the word.
Well, you got to look at
just agree with me.
You got to look at what Sidwell says. He said people started accumulating power and realized that they had to divide those under them to keep their money and their power. So if you keep us fighting amongst one another, we're not going to be focusing on trying to become what we need to become within our community. I think, honestly, what needs to happen is the problem is that it's easier to throw $100,000 at somebody who ain't never had it before.
Of course.
You can always find somebody to nigga up. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be real honest with you. You got a lot of those. You got.
That sounds like a shirt to me.
You know what I mean? But that, to be honest, that's what it is. And we are fighting against our own. You're fighting against somebody like, listen, we don't need. And I wouldn't necessarily say fighting, but when you look at Byron Allen's situation, I guess it would be like you in a tussle with corporations. But when you have Asian people that stick together because they can always find a job at a Chinese store. They can always find work to make money to feed their family. Black people, we can't do that. We can't go to a franchise that's owned by black people and get a job and be supported by them. I mean, we just don't have those. As
of yet, those things are in the working.
Well, it's in the working, but you got like Hunan Wok, Sun, all of these places that got franchise Chinese restaurants, and it's being funded by the Chinese. Chinese send they stuff over. They don't buy stuff from Publix and stuff like that to sell back to you. They get the stuff from their country. We don't have that.
Well, we get it. We need to get it from them too.
Yeah, but they're not going to sell it to us. Look at it.
On Alibaba, they do sell it to us.
Well, what was it? The woman who was whose hair salon shut down in California because the Koreans would not sell her the hair care products to give to the people. It's like, no, we're not going to sell it to you. They have that right to not sell it to her. She had to shut down because she couldn't meet demand, not that she didn't have the business.
Right. On Alibaba, if you go on there, you can pull up the people that make the stuff and distribute the stuff. It shows you how long they've been in business. You can start building a relationship.
There's no way we're sponsoring Alibaba though. We not. They ain't pay us nothing.
Right, but I got stock over there, so I'm happy about them. And all Chinese stock is starting to take off like crazy. Alibaba hadn't totally done it yet, but the numbers are going up
because they taking stuff.
And a goddess just showed me some coffee over there, and she was like, "You need to check this stock out." And I was like, because coffee is $1 billion industry, but Leroy, the thing about it is we are growing in those areas now. So I don't know what they're going to do to stop us now because in Atlanta, the We Buy Black people, I didn't know that they're getting together and they're putting together an organic grocery store and they're getting all their products from black farmers. So to me, that discussion we had about Publix closing and people going in a frenzy and this and that, now they're years away from completing what they're going to do, but they have the paperwork and all that stuff in action. So that means somebody from Jacksonville can go up there and say, hey, I want to do the same thing. How can we get that in Jacksonville? You see what I'm saying? We behind the curveball. Yes, we know that. But just like you said, we talk about the problems, but we don't talk about the solutions.
Yeah, let's
it boiled down to two things.
After Chip.
It boiled down to two things. Either you can program yourself or let them program you.
Go ahead, Kitty.
That's true. So Tiffany says that's why China wants to do business in Africa to control the resources.
Oh, they got
I
it
agree.
now.
And you know what they're doing
They
too,
got
right?
it now.
Is they put you in debt. They learn. Yep. That's one thing I know about the Asians. They follow a blueprint very well. They mess around and put Kenya they gave Kenya a loan, knowing that Kenya can't pay the loan back.
Right.
So if you can't pay the loan back, you gotta give us something. This is like financial warfare.
Right.
Dang, man, can you?
Tiffany also said, "Tribe against tribe is how slavery thrived. They sold other tribes to colonizers. Division is the key to racism."
Sounds familiar.
Division is
sounds
the
like-
key to everything.
I keep saying it's
Agreeing with-
tribalism.
Yeah, same
Aw,
with
Shay.
everybody.
When you remember what the
I
president
get to the
said.
macro of it.
You remember what the president said back in the '60s? I'm not sure what his name was, but he said black unity was a
Martin King.
no, it was
I'm just playing. He wasn't no president.
stupid. No, he was saying when he said when black folks like the Black Panther Party and all of them, they said it was a threat to national security. I forgot which president said that, but if the president is saying that us coming together is a threat to national security,
Kennedy.
then
Kennedy said.
it wasn't Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
No,
Probably
Kennedy.
Ford.
He just calling names out.
Who
I
came-
know.
who
You
came up
don't
with
know
Kennedy?
nothing.
He
And
just
can I
throwing
ask
You
y'all
don't know
a
a
question?
damn. Hit the bell.
Can I ask y'all a question? Because I wasn't paying it. I wasn't paying attention. You know, y'all know I'm a little slow. But
That's
the
not true.
outrage of China exploiting Africa is very, very highlighted. Was it as significant when the Europeans were taking advantage of Africa?
You want to know what it?
Yeah.
They
It
more
was,
organized.
but
This
it was
platform
not
couldn't exploit it.
right. It wasn't. It wasn't
They more
like
organized than me.
put out there for us to see what was going
Oh,
on.
true.
It's like
That's
the
the
way it
difference.
is. Yeah. The only
No, not
reason
true,
why I don't. You don't think CNN and all of them
She
put
said Truman.
Not true, man.
Because I deal with
Ed said not
melanation.
Truman.
I deal with melanation. They ain't going to be able to get rid of the melanation.
Well, I would prefer to deal with a lot of African American businesses. I would prefer to
deal
do
with
that
all of 'em.
first, but you can't.
You got to wait until they get up and
Right?
running.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do. You
And-
know what I mean?
Yeah, they.
Oh,
I paid
ask
them to
Lori
put a
about
roof
this.
on my house, and
And until they
Well,
provide some
go
good
ahead.
service and product.
exactly.
Without
we
dropping
need
the
a
Because
name.
not
good,
all of them do.
We need a good screening system because
Explain
we
what
do
happened.
not have money to waste.
For real.
We,
What happened?
I had a friend that had his own construction company, and he was going in. He had a contract with one of the local realtors in a very affluent neighborhood, and he
What
called
does
us.
affluent mean, though?
That's money. Even I
Okay,
know
money.
that.
Okay, affluent for those.
And he got a
Lord, have
1.8.
mercy. All right,
cheap sheet.
Don't
Made
fall
me
for that.
feel
Dave
good
is
about
not dumb.
myself.
Dave is not dumb.
It might
Don't
be
fall for that
somebody-
1.8.
It might, right. There might be somebody in the chat that don't know what affluent
Damn
means.
right.
Make me like
Thank you,
myself.
babe.
Boy,
He
they
was
looked at
Thank
you.
you.
trying to help out a relative that just got out of jail and hired him to be
Nixon.
one of his contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in one of the houses and stole a diamond necklace out the safe.
Right.
So he lost his entire contract.
Mm.
And it's taken him the
See?
last 3 years, but he finally is working with another realtor to do housing contracts.
See,
Wow.
See, it's a mentality. Look, I'm gonna share this with everybody, right?
Like you
And I don't
couldn't
care.
buy a diamond necklace.
Right, because with the contract that you got, it brings in additional money. You can't. You
Right.
got, here's the thing:
it's the,
just because you got somebody that's going to give you a deal,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you need to take it. You need to start owning your own stuff and working to get your own stuff. And I'll share this with you. I was in the military, and I got put in the brig for willfully receiving stolen property. This is when your homeboy mess around like, listen, dog, I got these things, and
way
I
to
was
be
like, uh oh.
transparent.
You got that Cam
I'm
Newton deal?
about to go ahead and let me hit you up with that thing right
Shit,
there.
you
And
got
next
the
thing you
Cam
know,
Newton.
what happened? CID was like, dog, come on.
Yeah. You
Is
didn't know how to lie, right?
No, I lied real good. It was when
I'm-
you're dealing with somebody else who mess around and get you caught up.
No.
No, because, hey, shit, hey.
But Leroy, you all right.
Lord.
You all right. That's why your circle is important. And that guy gave the other guy an opportunity. And we have to be protective of our circle, and the energy around us is so important. But I'm starting to learn the more you clear out clutter, junk, nasty, negative people, the more abundance that is going to come into your life.
I agree.
I'm learning to stop using the words that they used, the words that they gave you, the circle and all. I'm beginning to question the circle and all that there.
Okay.
The what?
The circle and all that there. So your mind got, if they doing that, then they on some other type of level. That's where I need to get to.
My whole thing as far as making sure that we come up out of the situation that we're in is to keep putting out good stuff like this. What is this again?
Wow.
Content.
Wow.
This dude right here, yo.
What is this again?
And it started way before the show started. He been fumbling through crap.
What is this?
I don't know what's going on.
Open up my window.
What's
again.
this right here?
We need some ginkgo, bro.
Right.
Went all the way there.
From Africa.
Yo, I just.
I'm
We
getting
need
him
to-
some ginkgo tomorrow.
Right, thank you.
Brain
Make sure it's
freeze,
from
that's
Africa and it's free range. It was grown out in a field.
Really?
Right,
Yeah.
free range ginkgo. I don't want no ginkgo that was grown in behind cages.
And water with
Ginkgo.
alkaline water out in the field.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
But
alkaline
listen,
rain.
we got to keep putting out good content like this.
Watch
I
it out.
understand that.
Alkaline God.
One, the individuals on Facebook is slowly putting out content unless we end up paying for it, so that way people won't be able to see our message that we're getting out. That's one. Two, you got to be able to be willing to listen to content that's going to uplift you and stop watching and feeding yourself ignorance. Because here's the thing: they already said that their goal was to make a teenage mindset last all the way up to the age 35. So by the time you get out of the smog that you was in or the fog that you was in, you already got kids and you really don't know what to do. You know what I mean? So the whole reason with Teen Talk is like when you had Teen Talk, when you was in school and you had teachers that kind of took care of you and kind of brought you up and told you this is what to do, you was kind of ready to go into the world. They took away all of the stuff that you need to do with your hands, so kids don't know how to use wood. Kids don't know how to use wood.
Wow.
Stop, I know.
Which one?
Shop class. They
Wow.
took away shop
okay,
class.
okay,
They took
okay.
away home economics. So
Right.
people don't know how to cook. People don't know how to do art no more, and
Exactly.
none of that. So
Well,
all
Because
some
of
they're
people
training.
do. They just their skin is lighter than yours.
It ain't
But they got
that
companies. They got the companies.
though. It
What is
ain't that. Like parents used to be in your life. Like they used to help you study one about.
That too.
Okay, let's send them to school.
Right.
Now it's more send them to school.
Right.
It wasn't no. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna learn, teach you this, here, teach you that. Now go to school.
Right.
Okay, you was able to question stuff back then.
That's true.
Now you can't question nothing. You question something. Oh, you not normal no more.
Or when
Well-
you question it, they mess around and
Yeah,
they
what?
calling you to the house. 'Cause
What?
My daughter questioned a lot of stuff in certain classes. Like one of her teachers is a social studies teacher teaching about history, and when they was asked to write something about slavery, she was like, "Why we got to keep writing about that?"
Amen.
Yeah.
She
spoke up in front of the class.
Right.
She
She was
like-
like, "Listen,
Thank
you
y'all
don't really."
for instilling that
she-
in her spirit.
Right, and the teacher was like, "Listen,
Who your parents
Miss
is.
Gordon, you know what I'm saying? You can't." I was like, "No, because it ain't the way you think it's gonna be. We don't have nothing good to write about slavery. Teach us something before that." They said, "No,
Her teacher also
But
said
listen.
something, and she said, "Well, that's sir, but that's because you're white." And she said, "So you're going to have a different." She said, "You're going to have a different perspective because you're white." It was something to do.
But
with
in that,
slavery.
and
And she
that,
spoke
and
up
that's
in the
not
class.
wrong though. That's
It's
not.
not.
That ain't even speaking up. That's
Yeah.
just the truth,
It's
and
just
don't
the
nobody
truth.
want to hear the
I
truth.
wanna.
Exactly.
Everybody got differences
Do
of
we know
opinions,
that
and they
white
need to
person's
understand
background
that.
before making that statement?
I want to share something that I picked up that I heard listening to Terrence Howard interview
Uh-oh.
that I didn't know, and this was about the female.
I'm
you know,
in charge.
I've been tapping into the female energy. I've been tapping into that naturally because I know a woman is more nourishing. Like, you know, you ain't gonna go to a man to have him put his titty in your mouth. You're gonna go to a female.
What?
That's just deep, man. Hey, let me tell you this though. I didn't know this. Terrence Howard said, because the goddess was interviewing him. He said when the body knows a female is coming, it automatically floods the tubes with estrogen. So therefore, when the woman comes out, she's already using the left and right side of her brain, and the woman thinks about every possible scenario before she does something. That's why sometimes men be like women crazy. They beat and evaluated every possible scenario. Men, we aren't that way. We only use the right side of our brain. We know A to B. We don't have that much fear. We just do.
Halfway
So,
baptized, halfway
you know,
smart.
hearing this about your hearing this about your daughter, you know, it's like I'm sitting here like, yeah, that's because that's what she's supposed to do. You know, just like my son called me, and my granddaughter's only 18 months, and he's like, she's too smart. She's too smart. And I'm like,
ain't no
yo,
such
she's
thing.
not too smart.
Right.
Don't try to back her back. Learn how to form things to shape and mold that energy and what she's doing to where she can grow and utilize it.
I done came to the conclusion. What is school?
School
it's
is
a tool
indoctrination.
to make you
No,
a
school-
worker for the system.
Right.
Exactly.
School is an indoctrination.
Yeah,
You don't learn nothing.
Exactly.
in
You don't
school
learn
at all.
nothing.
When you learn the enemy, you're closer to the enemy, the person that wanna, and you got to study them and master them. Just like I got into a thing on Facebook, and I normally don't get any chain letter gang things and all this crap. But it was share a picture and then in your phone, whatever number, and then you send it to
Dang,
somebody
Sid,
else.
I agree.
I wind up getting all these things, right? And a European comedian of ours, he got the number 7. So he gonna ask me, is that a bad number, right? So I explained to him 7 mean completion. On the craps, there's multiple way of getting the 7. And then I explained to him what 666 means: 6 proton, electron, 6 neutron, which make up you. Then I told him 13 is a powerful number. And I said, all this stuff you probably already know, and you could have Googled it instead of asking me anyway. I said, but you want to provoke a conversation to ask me, to get me into a debate. I said, but depending on how you respond from here on out is determines if I delete you or not. and I got a very I was just asking, I'm not using the platform for that. I just wanted to check. Boom. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people play on our intelligence to drag us into nonsense. And I lost the point where I was going with over.
Stay on task.
So in essence,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
D. Andrew Sidwell, real quick, said Tiffany Danielle Pineda, society has blurred that to keep most black men from reaching their potential.
Like I said, I agree with that. You have to look at it like this. If you say to a group of impoverished black men that's into music or that's trying to do something positive, that the only way that they're going to be able to get their music out there is if you over sexualize your woman and over violentize, I guess that's a word. Or
what was
become
your
over
GPA,
violent.
Leroy?
It was like a 2.9. I think
Valentine.
that's
I don't know.
you know what I'm saying? But no, or become hyper violent. You or make the male a hyper violent, or you over sexualize the female. And a lot of times, the only culture that really does that and that's being perverted all over the music is black music.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? And that's sad is because they can just go pick and choose. You got a whole bunch of artists that are out here, and you like they put the picture up there. You got J. Cole, you got a lot of artists like even Jay-Z that are pushing out conscious stuff for the mind, and they only pick those who's gonna over sexualize and keep putting that picture out there. What needs to happen is that all of those artists
They're not
that
gonna
want to
sell
put
if
out
they
their
don't.
good music you have to stop selling out. Because that's
They're not.
exactly what it is. You're niggering up.
Nigga up. You mean to make that could be a drink like 7-Up, nigga up.
I'm not drinking
Wow.
that. I'm not
Leroy-
drinking that shit.
When it's
can't
your
use
word, Leroy
nigga.
came. I didn't come up with the word Leroy said. I think it's sketchy.
Hashtag nigga up.
Most of the hood people gonna wear Leroy. It will make you a millionaire, whether you want to do it or not.
I
It's
wouldn't-
about
He'll
making
be a
money.
nigga.
I wouldn't want to put that out
I'm gonna
there
say
on
this real
anybody.
quick. I'm gonna say this real
Can we
quick,
spell
Leroy.
nigga upside down?
Sexuality is not a bad thing as long as you know how to use sexuality. Sexual energy is the strongest energy, like I was saying. And of course, y'all know about my 118 days of semen retention. But that took me deep into
There would be no research that.
hey, two pineal gland later.
Pick it up.
Pineal.
Sexual retention
Retention.
has helped me know this. You can manifest. Listen, you can manifest stuff from sexual energy. So if you with your woman and either or your woman, you or your woman about the orgasm, you can say $1 million right before you orgasm. You will manifest that.
$1 million key.
Learn how to harness and use the sexual energy.
I agree. That
If I put a woman in a G-string and a Uni over Belize shirt, and a Uni over Belize shirt, do you know how much money I will make?
Well,
This
let's find
girl,
out.
you know
Let's
the girl
find
that
out.
come to
Move
Tea
your
Party.
finger. Move your finger.
I want to testify to Chip. You know the little slim girl
got the Denzel finger.
at Tea Parties that come in there wearing them tight pants, and I just found out yesterday she don't wear no panties. Her camel toe be out on the floor. You know what I'm saying? And she
know
do
what
that
you're
on
talking about.
purpose. So I was like,
That's the
yo,
jealous
you
one.
need to model one of my shirts.
That's the jealous one.
Yeah, why do she do that? I mean, it's
attention.
too much.
No, here's the thing.
Don't get me. I ain't got nothing wrong with it.
No, you
comfortable to wear.
have women
Man,
who
that ain't
know.
comfortable.
No, you have women that know.
Trying to get attention.
Right, that
Jesus.
know what was it? No,
Right,
Keita,
Jesus.
no, Keita, you had said something some months ago when it came to
That
women
group chat
being,
when she had a
no, when women were getting the purpose of women getting raped and all of this other stuff is because of men. Everything. Not saying that I'm hating or men bashing. It's because men are they're visual men. They're visual beings. And
men put pressure on women to knowingly and unknowingly to look a certain way. Girls with who you consider to not have any shape or funny shape or too slim or whatever the case, you don't pay attention to. Guys put pressure on these chicks, just like they say on these reality shows and stuff, to look a certain way. If you ain't got a fat ass and big titties, then you're not attractive. Like, you can have all kind of other shit wrong with you, but if your ass ain't fat and your titties not big, you know you're not attractive. And it's just a pressure that men put on women to look a certain way. Like, I mean, that's why they go on all these shows with all this weave. People can't even freaking rock their natural hair. They can't go outside without makeup because of what men want.
Well, anyway, that don't be their face anyway. That be
Sometimes
Mac
also
face.
pressure from other women to say you don't look womanly enough, or you're not a woman if you don't follow this routine.
Very true.
That date back to what David was saying though. All of it date back to self love. If they learn that about themselves, ain't nothing you can stop. In other words, like, you can be a silent killer. Okay, this will be my 13th year feeding the homeless. Don't nobody know that. I don't broadcast it or nothing. I just do it.
Now they know.
But
feeding the homeless.
Self promo.
But I noticed that expires from people who do it now, like boom, boom, boom. But because some people want recognition,
Right.
and I have to realize, okay, people want recognition.
Yeah.
That don't mean that that's for me though.
You're right.
You know, and that sometimes that start a trend.
Some
You know
people
what I'm
need
saying?
validation from people.
You know,
and that's why they do certain things.
And it's gonna be people
I
that.
I had a homeless guy sit at the table with me at T-Posh, and he told me all his problems and how 2 women up in New Jersey want to take care of him, but they wasn't good for him, so he moved down here and just wandered the street and asked for loose change and all that. And I had a pocket full of money. I had a pocket full of money, and I purposely didn't give him none because I didn't want any recognition.
You use that in the sentence very well.
Foul on the play, man. Foul on the play.
He got props today. What is going on?
That's a 5-yard penalty,
What
man.
is going on?
I had to ask him what could make him so comfortable in living the type of lifestyle that he's living and not having a problem asking for stuff constantly. To me, I guess because my people
different levels to that.
Because my people have it and still won't give it to you, and I've never had anybody giving stuff to me, so I already know I got to work and grind for everything that I get.
Right.
But
I say this right.
Rich
I
homeless
think
people.
no, right. Here's what I say. Back home in D.C., and I said this on stage. I was like, listen, there's going to come a time because this is the season of giving, and they're going to be pulling. People are going to be pulling on your heartstrings. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be looking. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, if you pull up and you see somebody standing on a curb and they got a sign talking about I need help or that I'm hungry, you should do what I do. I keep going. Because
You're very inspiring.
Right. No, but I'm dead
That's what
serious.
these holidays are for. That's what they were created
not
for.
me. I just
if my spirit feel it, I probably will.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You might can feed them off words though. You might can pull them up off words.
Exactly. You give him something more valuable in words than you can money.
Like my partner, he got a 1-bedroom car.
I'm gonna be
But that's
serious,
what these
though.
holidays are all about now. I mean, what
It's
are the
about
holidays
money.
really? Who created them and for what?
Business and
Christmas
money.
is used for something exactly.
365 should be a
commercialized
holiday.
to get you out there to spend money. Black Friday, all this stuff is
But
used
you had to indoctrinate
get
the
you to
people to
spend
say,
your
hey,
money.
it's
I'm
for a
going to
good
look for
reason.
it.
on
Give
something
me-
that ain't real.
I done
Give me some
boycotted
TV.
enough Black Fridays. It's time for me to come out.
Go get your deals now. I done
No.
been out on. I done been Black Friday shopping.
Go
too.
the
I
day
ain't
after
against
There
it.
being no line.
Well,
I'm not
No,
finna-
it ain't
Once I see that my people gonna do whatever the hell they want to do, and I like the way Leroy talked about being accessory because, and I was gonna say this, but you know, you gotta let some of your Jews out.
No,
we
keep them
need to go
Jews in.
national we need to go national as soon as possible.
Keep them jewels in.
No, Leroy.
No family
Leroy,
jewels.
One of my things I came up with is don't be an accessory to ignorance.
You know what, man?
That's good.
Let me dap him on that one.
Yeah, that's a shirt right
behind
there too.
Well,
Just
see,
saying.
that's why I didn't
finna
want to
get
give it out.
hugs around here
But
now.
my spirit
For
said
real.
give it out. I got so much stuff in my phone. Please don't let
I
that
read
thing
that on one
lock
of your
up and
posts.
crash. I better transfer it.
Please
Yeah,
fall asleep
back
and
it
don't
up,
lock
yo,
it.
because
But-
you mess around got so much midget porn on it.
No, none of that.
You
But
got
what
gay
if
clown
somebody's-
porn?
I'm just messing.
Well, you won't get in trouble for midget porn.
Never mind.
short.
Yo,
Hey,
listen, but
somebody
okay.
sent me a
It's a
porn
short
with
film.
a
Wait.
guy that had a woman all the way down his arm.
Wow.
Nonetheless,
Did y'all get that?
no,
we-
I didn't.
I'll send it
I
to
don't
you.
even know. I don't
Not-
need it. No,
That's not today's topic.
yeah, we keeping
Go
it
ahead,
moving.
Go ahead.
So, for all of those that missed the video, you
Did
can
you have a
always
big
go
booty
back to the beginning of the show to watch the 19-minute video of Mike Tyler Smith, who was talking about advertising labels and broadcasting and how it affects our community. We talked about how to get out of it or whatnot, but next, it is Thanksgiving. 'Tis the season of giving. Anybody got any plans? I know, David, you're not eating no. They got this thing I just saw called tofurkey. You ever heard of that?
I'm not gonna eat that. Probably got soy
What
in
the
it.
turkey?
It probably got soy in it. I will
is
eat
that the
mushrooms.
squid and turkey mixed
T-Posh
together?
is having a thing on Wednesday, and we also having conscious conversations with comedians during that time, and you can buy a meal there. We have to be careful. Somebody just said about
we finna
the
eat
people
at
that have
T-Posh.
purchased the fake meat, like the billionaires have purchased it. And when I
They're
ride
screwing
down
that up.
10, Dunkin' Donuts got a plant-based burger. Everybody now got plant-based stuff. So you have to be careful when they start making it. They already know where your energy is going, so they're going to want to control it.
Some
Just like
vegans-
that guy said in the comment, that they want to control it, so they're going to break you up, and they're going to give you the product, and they're going to put what chemicals they want in
Don't
it.
fall for
Like
We
that.
got to
chicken
make it from
sandwich.
scratch. We
Yeah,
got to make
exactly.
it from
Do
scratch.
not
Somebody's
eat that
Impossible
stuff,
burger
man.
got caught for mixing 50-50 with meat.
Wow.
Real
yeah.
meat.
Yeah, it
Burger
tastes like
King.
meat. I had one before. I swore for Lord. Meat was in there.
Swole
It
for
was.
Because it shat a little bit.
The vegans boycotted one
The-
Burger
the-
King.
the way-
forgot
Oh,
whose
he trying
burger
to
it
sue
was.
them.
Oh, you trying
But
to?
you
Yeah.
know Burger King got team of lawyers.
I know.
They ain't worried
They
about that.
ready.
They didn't plan for all that.
That's
You
why
know
they
what they
call it
actually
the
do?
Impossible Burger.
They take
Impossible to
soy,
be sued.
and it's a
Exactly.
little chemical in the soy that tastes like meat. They mix it with blood to get that flavor.
Damn.
That was
I ain't taste.
the
I ain't
Popeye
fall for
chicken
that. I'm like, I
sandwich.
ain't buying that
the
crap.
Popeye chicken
I had
sandwich,
it.
Chick-fil-A.
I had it in Vegas because you can't find alkaline out in Vegas like you can here.
Oh, yeah.
I had them Impossible sliders at the Wynn. Cafe at the Wynn. And I don't know why I'm giving them promotion.
Right.
But
I met Steve Wynn back in the
they
day.
vegan food was
dude.
good, though.
Yo, so
You know, he
listen, here's what
supports
we
Trump.
doing. I'm trying to stick to being
We need to get
less meat. I'm trying-
Advertisers.
I'm trying to stick with less meat. So we are
look like-
smoking ribs. But
What kind of ribs?
pork
Did you hear your
What'd he
Carrot
say?
ribs?
your
What'd he
twin
say?
over there?
What'd he say?
Talking about it don't look like it.
Oh.
Y'all twins.
Looked like he was throwing up
Both
on
of y'all
That's a
green.
think-
fat joke. That's a fat joke from the fat
Both
joke.
of y'all thick as hell, so don't
Okay.
be
What
talking.
he
Right.
throwing up on
We
green?
looking like the little chocolate M&M.
So Keita,
No, the hell we not.
wouldn't the Impossible Burger be rated better than regular meat? Because you're not getting the full muscle. You're just getting a little bit of the blood and a little bit of...
But no,
It's
no. But
soy,
what
though.
you get?
Soy is bad for the body.
Is it worse than flesh? Is soy worse than flesh?
Yeah.
'Cause even
Yes,
when-
'cause
it
it
is.
destroys your cartilage.
Yeah, soy is
Oh.
Destroys your
it's
joints and
poisonous
cartilage.
before it's fermented.
I know it
Membranes and
gives
everything.
you estrogen,
Yeah.
and then men it kind of make breasts. So that's why I backed off of it because I ain't want no breasts.
I ate
I
too
mean,
much soy
why
growing
you
up
re-
there.
Stop rubbing your titties.
What that was that?
He immediately started rubbing his
What that was
titties.
that? That's what happened. I ate too much.
That's where the
Burger
titties came
King.
from.
I done ate too
Foul
much
on the
Burger
play,
King.
man.
I done ate too much.
That's what
Burger
the
King.
titties
Throw a
came
penalty
from.
flag on this dude.
They need to bring back chocolate now.
You can't sit next to me rubbing your testicles.
You act like we in the
Yo.
bench.
So-
On the bench or
Or
something.
in the bed together in
So
California
listen,
or something.
I wasn't there.
Oh, no, that was Leroy and Jason.
Hey, I
We
just
got-
did a joke in
Wait,
Hell,
wait.
Leroy and
Wait,
Seal.
wait, goddamn it, wait.
Oh,
Cause y'all gonna stop fucking talking about me.
my bad. You was at one end.
All right, so listen.
He was on
Thanksgiving is the season of giving. I said I'm smoking some ribs, but I'm gonna try not to eat none of them. So y'all keep me in prayer.
What the hell?
Yeah, cause ribs is delicious.
we got family
Yeah,
to eat.
yeah, we got
Oh,
fa-
okay, yeah, definitely.
So, so Lori, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Not a damn thing.
You ain't cooking?
Nope. I asked what he wanted. He said he wanted to sit in his drawers and nibble on whatever's in the house and sleep all day.
He gonna use some
So
booty.
I guess that's not.
There you go.
I guess we're not coming over to
I
y'all
got-
house.
You gonna eat
She
some
got
pork.
jeans full of groceries. We good.
You gonna eat some pork.
Oh, you're gonna be a little shitty little mouth man, ain't you?
Open up your window again.
So if you see me with a shit-eating grin, you know what I did.
Oh, you got a lot of alcohol at the house. He can kill all of them germs coming out.
Hey, I'm
Been
willing to
eating
share.
chocolate all day.
So Chip, what you doing this Thanksgiving?
Feeding the people at Wilson's Children's Hospital. Feeding
All
the
right.
staff.
Can we donate
right.
food to that?
Yes.
I'll
All
talk
right.
to you after the show.
And Dave, what's going on? What you got going on?
Oh, well, you know, we got T-Pod's Naturals Thanksgiving. They say Thanksgiving, but we say Thanks-living because we changing up all these words.
All
right. There you
and,
go.
And they did something with the smallpox and the blankets and all that energy is associated with the word. So that's why we went Thanks-living. But they got food there, people buying tickets, and we going to do conscious conversations with the comedians. I'm not doing any work in the community right now because I did that for years and years, and now it's kind of like all about me.
Okay, selfish ass.
Selfish.
I know. Listen,
At the last minute,
I'm
he want to
thankful.
turn.
I'm thankful.
yo, Keita, that's what we doing, right? The ribs, baby. What you really doing?
What you mean? What I really doing? I'm.
She working out.
What you really doing?
Get some.
Yeah, get some ribs.
Yeah.
You
Get
see
some
this?
ribs.
Leroy
stuff?
gonna be-
I ain't doing nothing. I ain't
All
eating
right.
no meat.
Leroy
I'm
gonna be
doing
in there.
doing
100.
So listen.
79,
my
100.
greens.
Miss Purdy.
Man, y'all
Listen.
my couple of the year, man.
So listen, right? Okay. Why are
Miss
we the couple
Purdy.
of the year? Because of what?
Because y'all practicing discipline, man. Y'all doing things. Y'all changing, evolving.
Y'all eat.
Constant
feel
renewing
better.
of the mind, man.
You
It
eat
just- it just-
eggplant.
Yeah,
I'm just an honor to see y'all doing something. That's
Well, I'm
all.
gonna tell you like this. I'd have fucked
Take your
up
time.
because listen, for a long time, for almost like
Take your
40,
time.
for almost like 38 days, I ain't had no meat, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back and try it, and it was nasty as shit.
Look at God.
He was
I-
Supposed to be,
miserable.
though.
Right.
He
but
Look
I-
at God.
Right. So I went
He
back
was
to.
miserable. He did.
But,
But
you know,
you
on
finished it?
occasion, I did. I paid for it. You know what I'm
that
saying?
last
But
pack
I
of cigarettes.
occasionally
That's
now,
the man.
I occasionally might have some meat. But we had chicken when we had the Predators over last week, and I threw away all of them chicken wings. Well, did we? No, we didn't. They still in the fridge there. So listen, if y'all want some
Go ahead
chicken,
and reheat them up.
yeah,
You want to bring some
It's
cupcakes?
not a lot. It's not as
It's
Y'all
not
group
as
was
many.
showing out yesterday.
yeah.
Hey.
All them donuts and all they were doing.
So listen, before we get going, we got two more topics. We got Alicia Keys, and then we have your topic, Just Asking. I just want to hit up Alicia Keys real quick, and I want to get y'all's suggestions on how do y'all feel about this woman wanting her son or allowing her son to paint his fingernails red, rainbow colors. Me as a man,
LGBT.
I don't have a son, but I got nephews, and I am liable to fuck one of them up.
Praise God.
Amen. How do y'all feel about that? Would you let your son?
Not me.
Why
I would, but she's teaching him. Like, I think they think they're on another level, first of all, because people done put them as, quote, celebrities. Which, nah, you the same person as me. You might have put your gift, you might have worked with your gift a little higher than me. But now you teaching him, oh, I can do anything or say anything. So now I think it's going to backfire on him because he's going to start looking down on people. Who, oh, no, I can't do that. Well, you're not me.
No, I think she should have went on
Damn, I
ahead.
like that. Good job, Chip.
I think she should
I
have went
never
on
thought
ahead.
about it that way.
I think
That's
she should have
fine.
went on ahead and let her son wear him and let that boy go to school and see what happened in the world.
Well, let me ask you this, though.
You get a rude awakening when you realize other boys look at you and be like, "Boy, what the fuck wrong with you?"
Wait a minute, though. Is that Swiss Beats, son?
Yes.
Yeah, and he said it was fine. He agreed to it.
Well,
Look
hell,
at
he,
him.
he got the keys to the
But-
kingdom.
He probably
'Cause
got-
Swiss Beat. They made a beat. Open
Yeah.
up your window again.
He probably wear black finger.
Godfather Harlem.
But
You been watching it?
Go
yeah,
ahead, Keita.
man.
It's
Go
pretty
ahead.
good.
I
Wait a
know.
minute, wait. Go ahead, Keita.
But who determined, and I'm just playing advocate here, who determined that pink is for girls and blue is for boys? Where did that come from?
European society in America.
Okay, and so who says we have to accept that only girls should wear pink and only boys should wear this?
don't.
Well, not
Why can't we wear whatever colors we want to wear,
Well,
girl or boy?
You can as
Why
long as
can't you?
You can as long as you know the meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And your meaning is the actual meaning because you create reality.
Mm-hmm.
So it don't matter what anybody else did. What matters is what's in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I dislike the fact, and somebody else brought light to, they made the color pink and associated it with cancer. So, I put some union belief hats out there in pink, because around that time of the month, them people put on pink, and, we in the business of making money.
Right.
So I figured I'd give them a union belief product. But then again, I would hate for somebody to look at my hats and think about cancer.
Yeah.
And
that's
peace
just,
and positive energy to those that are losing people to cancer. It's so many people that are losing
She
people
said
to cancer.
it's a solid stool. No, for me.
Huh?
Solid stool. Ain't that like a solid shit?
Damn.
It's a whole turd.
Yeah. Well, peace and blessings to those people that. Well, I don't know if blessings should have been in there, but peace and power. The people that are losing people to cancer, man. There's a lot going. A girl just messaged me, and this lady that was making elevation in the film world put on an event in Atlanta. I couldn't go because it was on a Sunday, and no more than 2-3 weeks later, the lady died from cancer, and she said it was because of all the hair products she had in her salon. I be getting the words mixed up, but it was chemicals and stuff like that. And she's been in business for over 20 years, but because of all the chemicals she put in her hair, she had to go through chemo, and the chemo killed her. So I got this message in my inbox, and it's like real. It's kind of depressing.
And it was the chemo.
I don't be thinking it be the chemo. My mama died of cancer. I watched cancer eat my mama up. I think it's the worryation that they put in their head. It's like if long as you don't know you have it, you all right. It's when they diagnose it. Then they
worryation.
He did. I was gonna get to that.
Yes.
I was gonna ask him
Another
about that.
fat nigga quote.
Yes.
Damn.
Exactly.
That's a shirt.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm glad my other fat
And a
brother
show.
understood.
Wow.
No, but
Let them know we working.
they do. Because here's what I learned about
Hey,
cancer.
before we start, we apologize. Chip,
Shut up.
knock this damn thing out of the wall.
We was talking in sign language. Y'all should.
Fat nigga logic.
The
Don't
staff
email
understood
me.
what we were
Say,
saying.
cut the power. Thank you,
Leroy
Ed.
came up with that title.
I cut the power chip by the outlet.
No. Ed did
I'm in the
that.
middle of the table.
Ed, you hit the cord with your feet. when
Man,
you
that's a
lift
fabrication of the truth.
up.
All right,
I'm
well,
the
go ahead.
slimmest
Go
nigga
ahead.
on the show.
But anyway, my mother died of cancer. And even through all the treatment, my mother never lost her hair. She never lost her hair. She started declining from the worry of it.
Okay.
It's when
So
she
you're saying the
started.
stress.
Yes. Anything.
Placebo.
As long as you don't know what you have or whatever, you good. It's when the doctor diagnose you or say anything or whatever, your mind just get the instantly, I'ma die.
Right. That helps speed it up, though. Definitely.
Exactly.
But
Remember we
can
were
I
just
ask you,
having that
Chip?
conversation about what is it? You can be working at a job and get sick. You've been eating the regular that you've been eating. Next thing you
take
know,
my voice
the stress
off this show.
will mess you up. I'm just agreeing with you, Chip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like the stress. Anyway.
Chip, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Theoretically, so if like Dr. Sebi and the alkaline people said that you can clean your blood, if you can clean your blood with alkaline, so that would be the same as chemotherapy because that's what they do. They replace the blood in your body with that chemo. So if you could do that with alkaline herbs and food, do you think it would have just as good, if not better, effect than the chemo?
If you do research, I don't know.
Okay.
Now that's an answer I wouldn't know. Like I have to do research, and I ain't gonna just do it
Right.
just because they said it. I think that's how a lot of people get.
Need a lot of soursop.
Hey,
Yeah,
can
I mean,
get back to the
that
question.
Look delicious, but what Ed?
Did anybody check the history of wearing makeup? Did it not start in Egypt with the pharaohs? Those were men in charge. They wore the makeup.
Eyeliner.
They
nails,
had the money.
and dresses.
It was a
Yeah.
symbol of power
Exactly.
and authority back then.
But can I ask you
Not
this?
now.
So
Ed?
if a brother wears it now, They
It's a
better know
problem.
where it came from so they can say, this is why I'm doing it.
Oh, okay.
Even if
Instead
they
of,
know,
this is why I'm doing
right.
it.
even
here's-
if they know,
Yeah.
it still
let me
won't
ask you this,
matter
though,
because
Ed.
this society gonna still kill them.
And what type of makeup and stuff did they use? Because they are trying to figure out how the colors and all this
Are
stuff
still
are
here.
Exactly.
Right.
So if we're using a product that is poisonous,
Yes.
because if you talk about I know one person.
They not using roots and berries and ground up
Right.
beetles.
You
I know they
see?
use beetles for food coloring now for the color red, especially in
Red
lipstick.
folk.
Yeah, because I asked somebody in the alkaline community, why don't they start a fingernail polish thing when the Oriental people were beating up the black people? I said, why don't you start one so y'all could do your own nails and things? She said, because of the chemicals and all the stuff like that, I don't want to do one because of that.
And please stop, ladies, please stop using those gel coatings on your nails.
He said we at
What
your
do you-
fingernail bed. Yep.
But
So listen,
but do you think that those people have to sacrifice their sons, like
I
Will
hope not.
Smith,
I hope not.
and Swiss Beats? Do you think that's a part of some agreement? Because instead of
I think so.
instead of tapping into the deities and the energy of the deities, these people made a system and they tap into the deities, but you subscribe to them because they have all the power and the money.
they just have the knowledge.
I don't think
That's
there's
it.
no
I
boy
think-
pussy god out there.
Okay, next.
Wow.
What? No.
Wow.
On that note,
He rang my
before
own
we
bell on me.
Wow.
we're gonna keep this party rolling. You know what this segment is gonna be. This is the one and only. We waited all day for this segment, and it is Lakita Gordon's segment. Just asking, and she likes to pop right on in, pop at it, pop that pussy, that
Whoa.
No,
Whoa.
no,
pop,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
The bell. Can
pop, pop,
somebody
pop
do the
the
bell?
pussy.
Don't
That
bail
means
it. Don't
stop.
bail it, pop.
We did it on video
That
already,
means
bro.
stop.
They don't belly pop.
That man said pop it.
Okay, because I gotta go get my daughter, so I'm gonna put this out there real quick. So think back, even if
Did
you
she
gotta
say she gonna
think
put the
back
pussy out there?
to like elementary school, if you saw somebody that you really, really liked, and you was like, man, they bad or they fine or they pretty or handsome or whatever, and then you got to this one thing that just turned you completely off. Think of somebody, and what was that one thing?
You want us to
Like
mention
this
somebody?
one guy, me and my sister in elementary school, these set of identical twins like us, and of course we're identical twins. So I thought the one was just so fine. I was like, oh, he's so cute until he smiled and his teeth was jacked
Right.
up.
Raggedy
Like
mouth
for
nigga.
me, that one thing, his breath didn't stink, but his teeth was jacked.
That's
and so
what
that
doggy
one
style's
thing
for.
for
You
me,
won't
I
see
was
it.
like,
You won't see it coming if you do a doggy
turned
style.
off. I was in elementary school, man.
Tell that to R. Kelly.
Nobody doggy styling. I'm done with this show.
Boom.
Hold on.
Give me that bell. Give me that flag. I'm done.
What about you, Lauren?
Hashtag facts.
Slide it on in there.
I got a thing about people's feet. I like
Ooh.
nice feet, and if you got jacked up feet, I can't deal with you.
Hey,
What is you,
yeah,
Eddie Murphy on Boomerang?
pretty feet nigga that's
Pull
sitting
the
next to me.
sheets back.
He's Eddie Murphy on Vampire in Brooklyn.
What about you, Dave?
I would just about smash anything.
Oh,
But
God.
the thing I don't, the thing,
Alive?
Uncle,
You gotta say
you
alive.
got a dollar.
alive,
Yeah.
maybe dead too.
No, necrophilia
I mean,
is not good.
Oh,
Well,
that'd be
if-
some cold.
If you're gonna beat off, you might as
Eskimos.
well sleep with a corpse.
Oh my God.
My only pet peeve is like women that smoke is a turnoff. Like
Yeah.
the lady I dated the last 2 years of my high school, granted she was 10 years older than me, but she loved to smoke. She wouldn't brush her teeth. She had like mildew on the bottom. You know how you had that build up but she had so much money because she used to sell dope. So, but she would make me kiss her and her tongue tastes worse than wood. It was just horrible.
Oh God, you didn't
Damn.
have
Look
at that
milk in
money,
your
though.
mouth?
If she had fixed her grill, I probably would have married her. I hope she ain't listening. Don't nobody tell her that know
Wow.
what I'm
Wow.
saying.
What
Next.
wood you had in your mouth though?
I know,
you tasted
right.
wood before?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I done had plenty of wood in my mouth.
Oh, okay. Can you ring the bell?
Not no dick,
Bell.
not no
Too
dick,
late.
but I'm talking about oak, wood, and
You let that sit out there for like 3 seconds.
hold that.
Straight penalty flag.
You let it sit out there for 3
Time out.
seconds, brother. You can't
I
do
done had a
that.
toothpick in my mouth. They made of wood. Now
A
y'all
little
can't-
one?
Yeah, I missed
had
the
a little-
1.8 GPA now.
It just took
on.
you 10 seconds to
No,
come
no,
back
no.
with that, but that's
Hey,
all
but
right.
I got it.
You
The
got
hot
it.
toothpick.
Saved
hot
by the
toothpick.
toothpick and the bell.
All right. Well, listen, for me,
You had
when
wood
I was
in your
in
mouth?
no.
Oh, he
I'm
can
gonna
paint
mention everything.
As a
Listen,
child.
we used to stay at a place called Bellhaven. There was back in D.C., right? There was a girl named Kim who I really liked, right? Liked her and everything, right? But she found out that I liked her, and she didn't like me like that. So she thought because now here's my thing, I like my money more than I like just about anything.
That's right.
And who I give my money to is who I really like. So hence my wife. I give her the whole check.
Come on.
It's a whole check.
Make sure you put the L and the E in that, please.
No, listen, but she'll be. Hey, don't threaten me with a good time, goddammit. Uh-oh, never mind. Listen, anyway.
Get some wish.
One day I was walking to the store and she saw me and she asked if she can borrow some money from me. She never did that shit before. So I specifically said, I was like, Kim, you know I like you, right? And I was like, but I'm not giving you no money because you never said you liked me back and we was doing anything like that. She was like, well, I was like, well, no, listen, you can walk your happy ass back up that hill.
So her asking you for money just completely turned
shutting me down.
Oh, that happened to me too. Leroy.
I just don't play about that. If you're going to sit there just because you know I like you, think I'm going to start giving you money because I'm soft, bitch, you done lost your goddamn mind, ho.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking
about.
I had a woman ask me for money.
Bite.
I almost got to share this, but Leroy, it's not an ask a money thing. But a lady was giving me some in the driveway on the car with her skirt up, and then she stopped and
Meals
asked
on
me
wheels.
for some money.
He got head in the car.
And I said, Had to pull out and everything.
Wow.
Leroy made me want to share that.
Okay, Ed.
We're going to have to keep this bell here, Ed.
Oh, my gosh.
We can do that.
Ed, go ahead.
Mine is kind of like a two-parter. Body odor in general, specifically vaginal halitosis.
Oh,
your pussy's
Can't deal with it.
wow.
Damn.
Can't deal with it. I can't smash you if it stink.
that
I'm
should
not
be there
going
no
down
way.
if it stink. If you don't have enough common sense to clean your cooter, I can't date you.
Cooter.
Cooter
That's
cleaner.
light
on
skin
the
word
next
for coochie.
denarium.
Yeah.
What kind of
It
women
is.
you
It's
done been exposed to?
It's the next
Like
skin.
light skin one.
Listen,
Don't
do
give
you,
a
Four.
damn. Oh, damn, King.
Or, I mean,
do
if you
you
don't give
need
a
your
damn about
cooter
they
clean?
if you
Big fella.
ugly, you got jacked teeth, I can flip you over and hit it doggy style. I ain't got to see that. I can still get mine.
Wow.
But when your stuff stink,
Seafood.
it permeates. No.
Look,
Seafood.
Ain't
I
that
ain't paying
drink?
no attention to that smell when I'm smashed.
Chip. Oh, my gosh.
Must be
Oh,
that.
I guess
Gross.
just use a Febreze condom, I guess.
You got
Oh, my gosh.
I'm from the street.
Smoked turkey.
Need some diamond clusters from Denarium.
You gonna get shanked if your pussy stink. Doo-doo.
I was trying to be nice by saying vaginal halitosis.
Andre.
I would say like if you nice looking and fine and everything, and then I see you walk off and you got on flip flops and they dragging, but the bottom of your feet.
Oh, that crusty heel.
Yes.
Crusty heel.
Yes.
But do you keep your feet smooth? You can't be talking about
Yeah.
your feet smooth.
All it take is lotion.
Y'all be talking about women and y'all be doing the same thing.
No, but I don't need your feet to look like you've been
You asked the
digging holes with
question.
them.
No, I'm just I know. That was my man hating moment for a second right there. I'm just
Okay.
You
saying.
did,
Represent.
but
You gotta
them
represent
feet
for the
still
gods.
out there like that.
So what if you don't see him till later, like till a couple of dates in or whatever? Then what do you do?
What do I do? Get them
Yeah.
pressure wash?
Wow. Do you still
Wake up!
do you still date the girl or whatever?
No.
Did you
That's
smash
the
already
time.
before you saw the feet?
So you
I
would
could
stop
have.
dating somebody before if you see they feet crusty for real.
Can't do
Yeah,
it.
out in public.
Okay.
Especially when your toe curls over the front of the flip flop.
Yeah,
And
and
your
then-
nail scrape.
Tiffany say Febreze condoms cause infections.
Oh no, they organic.
The organic
Damn.
Febreze. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad that you all tuned in and stuck with us throughout this show, the Signal 27 show. This is the first show that's going to be on Pandora, so thank you all for being a part of the show. But before we
Hey.
go, do y'all want to go ahead and plug anything? We'll start with you, Laura. You good?
I'm good.
What's
With
Pandora?
Keita?
You all can still purchase your Get Some shirts from me and my book from Amazon called The Other Side of Addiction.
That's what I'm talking about. What about you, David?
Hey, you know what I got? Unio Belief shirts available online. Type in Unio Belief, you'll find them. Goddess shirts, they're available at T-Pods right now, soon to be online as well. December 14th, we got a Christmas comedy show coming up, and I think that's it.
All
Where
right.
y'all gonna be at for December 14th?
In the Salem Center. My
Oh, I
first
know, that's
time
right off
there
of Edgewood.
performing with It's off of Edgewood?
No. Salem Center is
Bonneville Road.
Salem Center is the place where the radio station is at. Yeah, that's where the radio station for 107.9, the gospel show, the gospel station.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
You ain't never been there? Yeah, it's a nice
Believe
auditorium.
shirt. And all my products, I'm now on 3 platforms. I'm on Etsy. I'm on Spread T-shirts and Big Cartel. You can find my products.
All right. Well, you can always find me here, the Signal 27 Show. You can always follow me on any of the social media platforms at thelastleroy.com. You can check out everything I got going on there. I'm just getting TikTok, so we about to check this TikTok thing out because it's booming, because YouTube about to lose a lot of motherfuckers with this COPA thing. But check this out. On December 3rd, I'm going to be at the Comedy Zone. December 6th, I'm going to be working with... I fucked around and got I messed around. What's that dude that was on the news that had that MK Ultra shit that just stopped? What was it talking about, his name? Al Roker. I fucked around, did the
He doodled.
Al Roker.
Yeah, that's pretty good imitation.
Yeah, Al Roker his MK Ultra be kicking in. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. No, but on December 6th I'll be working with Clarissa doing her Christmas thing for Clarissa Brown.
lady.
Yeah.
You still don't say her name right.
And then it's Carissa. Carissa.
It's
No L. Carissa.
Car and
Carissa.
Issa.
Carissa.
Corella.
Okay. And then
free food.
and then this month, next month in December, I will be doing the last show of the year at Two Saints, Clean Cut Comedy. So y'all holler at me and kick it in. I'll be putting out the flyers soon. Ed?
Yo, Denarium is back and it's up and running.
Snap.
Go to YouTube.
Oh, snap.
Check out Denarium. We're going to have 2 more videos loaded this week. But the staff of Signal 27 actually came through and supported Denarium, and we all are in the video. Dave, I'm sorry you were in Vegas on vacation, bro.
Oh, that's a good thing, man, because I learned to play craps like never before.
Oh, I take craps all day, but
Yeah.
And Chip, what you got going on, bro?
December 14th, I will also be on that show with Mr. David Emmanuel. Hattie's House, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
You know, we'll be out on the front porch with Hattie.
oh,
You know, get my shirt halfway baptized. My partner Ed have on the shirt. Yes, halfway. You know, sometimes you got to be halfway baptized. You know what I'm saying? It's a life. It's a way of life.
I believe in God, but I'm still whoop your tail.
Yeah, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I had to tell him at
Put
the
these hands
what restaurant
in the name
was
of
that?
Jesus.
We went to Copeland's.
I'm gone because I can't do nothing.
We talking about your shirt, bro.
We supporting him.
Right. Yo, listen, we was at Copeland's and somebody saw me with your shirt on, and I was like, listen, yeah, I'm halfway baptized. I love the Lord on this app, but I'll fuck your ass up on this app. Yo, listen, y'all, I want to thank y'all for tuning in to the Signal 27 show. We appreciate each and every last one of y'all for tuning in, and y'all make sure that y'all follow us, subscribe to us, and like us on Facebook, YouTube. Periscope is when you can see us live, and you can always follow us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and right now, Pandora. We appreciate y'all.
And TikTok.
Hey,
And
all my
soon to be
truck
TikTok.
driving friends, Pandora, yeah.
Yeah. Holla at your boy.
Boy.
And girls in here. Shit. Bye.